Orbital Station Nexus 7 floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Ships came and went from its many docking ports. Thousands of aliens from different worlds walked through its wide corridors every day. It was a place of trade, of meetings, of business. The Galactic Council had built it as neutral ground where all species could meet in peace. Commander of the Enforcement Division walked through the Commerce District with her head held high. She was tall, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes that never missed anything. Her uniform was decorated with medals from 30 years of service. The had ruled the council for 3,000 years, and believed this made her better than everyone else. She looked down at the other species with disgust. The small furry, the slow-moving, and worst of all, the humans. These newcomers from a dangerous world called Earth had only joined the council 5 years ago. They were loud. They were emotional. They bred like insects. I hated them most of all. On this day, the Commerce District was busy. Merchants sold strange foods and glowing fabrics. Music played from different shops. Children of many species ran and played while their parents shopped. One of these children was a human girl named. She was 7 years old, with black hair tied in 2 small ponytails and a smile that could light up any room. Her father worked as an engineer on a cargo ship. He had brought to the station while his ship was being repaired. It was her first time seeing so many aliens, and everything amazed her. Was chasing a small toy drone that floated through the air. It was a gift from her father, and it flew just fast enough to stay ahead of her. She laughed as she ran, her small feet moving quickly across the metal floor. She did not see Commander walking toward her. The toy drone turned left, and she ran directly into the commander's legs. It was a small bump, weighed only 20 kilograms. She bounced off and almost fell, looking up with wide eyes at the tall alien in front of her. "I am sorry," said in the common galactic language. Her accent was not perfect, but her words were clear. "I did not see you." I looked down at the human child. Her 4 eyes narrowed with anger. In her mind, she saw everything that was wrong with the galaxy. These humans had no respect. They let their children run wild. They thought they could touch a commander without consequences. "Filthy creature," I said. Before anyone could react, she raised her armored hand and struck across the face. The blow was powerful. I was a trained soldier and her arm was covered in metal armor. The impact lifted off her feet and sent her flying into a merchant stall 3 meters away. Glass broke, products scattered everywhere, and lay in the middle of it all, her face covered in blood. For a moment, the entire commerce district went silent, then began to scream. Had been looking at a shop window when it happened. He heard his daughter's cry and turned to see her lying in broken glass, blood pouring from her face. His heart stopped. His legs moved before his brain could think. He ran to her and fell to his knees, pulling her into his arms. Her left cheek was split open. Her eye was swelling shut. He could feel broken bone under his fingers. "Stay with me." He pressed his hand against her wound, trying to stop the blood. "Someone help, please, someone help my daughter." I had not moved. She stood there, looking at the bleeding child with no emotion on her face. "Control your larvae," she said coldly, "or I will do it for you. Next time teach it to watch where it walks." Looked up at her. His hands were covered in his daughter's blood. His mind could not understand what had just happened. An officer of the law had just attacked his 7-year-old child for accidentally bumping into her. "She is just a child," he whispered. "She said she was sorry." "It is an animal from a death planet," I replied. "It should be kept on a leash." Station security arrived. 3 officers in black armor pushed through the crowd, felt hope for just a moment. Surely they would arrest this monster. Surely there would be justice. But the officers looked at her, then at the bleeding human child, and they laughed. "Good work, Commander," one of them said. "These humans need to learn their place." They walked away. They did not help. They did not take statements. They simply walked away laughing. A merchant rushed over with medical supplies. Other aliens gathered around, their faces showing horror at what they had witnessed. A called for emergency medical services. Strangers helped carry to the medical bay. But they did nothing. Later, doctors would tell that his daughter had 3 broken bones in her face. She would need surgery. She would have scars for the rest of her life. She would wake up screaming from nightmares for months. All because she bumped into someone and said sorry. Sat by his daughter's bed and held her small hand. Machines beeped around them. Slept under heavy medication, her face wrapped in white bandages. He did not know that 17 cameras had recorded everything. He did not know that the video was already spreading across the galaxy. He did not know that it would reach Earth within hours. He only knew that his little girl was hurt and no one would help them. But someone was watching, many someones, and on a small blue planet called Earth, people were starting to get very, very angry. Humanity had a rule that went back to the beginning of time. It was simple. It was absolute. It was written in their bones and blood. You do not hurt children. Commander had broken that rule, and she had no idea what was coming for her. The video spread across Earth like fire through dry grass. It appeared on news channels, social media, and private messages. Within 12 hours, every human being who had access to a screen had seen it. A tall blue alien striking a small girl. A child flying through the air. Blood on the floor. Security officers laughing and walking away. Earth had never been so quiet. There were no riots, no angry mobs in the streets, no burning buildings or broken windows. This silence scared the alien ambassadors on Earth more than any violence could have. They knew what human anger looked like. They had studied human history. They knew about the wars, the revolutions, the terrible weapons humans had built to destroy each other. But they had never seen this cold, patient silence. This was not the heat of rage. This was something else, something worse. Admiral stood in the underground command center in Seoul. She was 53 years old, with hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many battles. She had joined the military at 18 and worked her way up through skill, sacrifice, and iron determination. Now she commanded all of Earth's space forces. The room was full of generals, admirals, and government officials. They sat in silence, watching the video play again on the main screen. The Galactic Council has responded to our formal complaint, said. Her voice was flat, without emotion. They say that Commander acted within her authority. They say that humans, as a probationary species, have no standing to demand action. They say the matter is closed. She pressed another button. A new image appeared on the screen. It was Commander standing at a ceremony. New medals decorated her uniform. She has been promoted, continued, for her excellent service in maintaining order. General slammed his fist on the table. He was a big man with a loud voice, famous for his temper. But when he spoke, his voice was quiet. They promoted her. They gave her medals for breaking a child's face. Yes. What about the father's complaint? What about the witnesses? Ignored. The ambassador released a statement. He called Commander A's actions appropriate discipline for an unruly animal. The room was silent again. On the screen, Little's bloody face appeared once more. So we have no legal options, said. No diplomatic solutions. We are too new, too weak, too unimportant for the Council to care. That is correct, said. Then what do we do? Admiral looked around the room. These were the most powerful people on Earth, leaders of nations, commanders of armies. They had guided humanity through its first steps into the galaxy. Now they looked at her, waiting for answers. We remind them, she said slowly, why they call Earth a death world. She activated a classified file on the screen. The words appeared in red letters, Operation Reckoning. For the past 3 years, we have been training a special unit, 12 operators. The best soldiers Earth has ever produced. They can survive in environments that would kill any other species in minutes. They can move without being seen. They can fight without making a sound. They have been waiting for a mission worthy of their abilities. She changed the image to show 12 faces, men and women from different countries, different backgrounds. All of them shared the same look in their eyes, the look of predators. Their mission will be simple: travel to the Enter Commander A's compound, extract her alive, bring her to the Galactic Council chambers, and deliver a message that the galaxy will never forget. Leaned forward. The is 15 light-years away. Their defenses are the strongest in the galaxy. How will 12 soldiers get through? Smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. The evolved on a paradise world. Gentle weather. No predators. No natural disasters. They have never faced anything truly dangerous. Their security systems are designed to stop other species like themselves. They cannot imagine what a predator can do. She brought up files showing the team's training. Soldiers swimming through frozen water, running through volcanic caves, fighting in complete darkness, surviving for weeks in jungles filled with poison and predators. Humans spent millions of years learning to hunt. We tracked animals across continents. We waited in silence for days to make a single kill. We developed patience that other species cannot understand. To think they are safe in their paradise. They are wrong. The room considered her words. What she was proposing was an act of war. If they failed, Earth could face the combined might of the Galactic Council. Everything humanity had built could be destroyed. But then they looked at the screen again. A 7-year-old girl with a broken face, security officers laughing, a commander being rewarded for cruelty. One by one they nodded. "Do it," said. Admiral turned to a young officer standing by the door. "Send the order. Tell Captain that Operation Reckoning is approved." 3 hours later, a small ship left Earth orbit. It carried no weapons that scanners could detect. Its crew appeared to be simple traders on their way to do business. Nobody paid attention to it. But inside that ship, 12 humans prepared for war. They cleaned their weapons. They reviewed their plans. They remembered the face of a crying child. Captain sat alone, reading a message from his father. The man had not asked for revenge. He had only asked why. Why did she hurt my daughter? Why did nobody help? Did not have answers for those questions, but he had something else to offer. Justice. He closed the message and began checking his equipment. In 14 days, they would reach the. In 14 days, Commander would learn what happened when you hurt a human child. The galaxy thought humans were weak because they laughed and cried and loved. They thought emotions made humans soft. They were about to learn how wrong they were. It was beautiful. Crystal mountains rose toward purple skies. Bioluminescent forests glowed in soft blues and greens. Rivers flowed with water so clean it sparkled like diamonds. They had lived here for 100,000 years, and they had never known true danger. Commander A's estate sat on top of the highest crystal mountain. It was a palace of glass and light, surrounded by gardens that bloomed all year long. 300 guards protected it day and night. Sensor systems watched every approach. Defense shields could stop any weapon. The military had designed it to be impossible to breach. Captain looked at the estate through his binoculars from 5 kilometers away. His team had been on the planet for 3 days, moving only at night, eating nothing but nutrition packs that left no smell. They had crossed through a bioluminescent forest that they considered impassable. They had swum through underground rivers filled with sharp rocks. They had climbed cliffs that would have killed any who tried. Now they waited in a small cave, hidden from all sensors by the natural minerals in the rock. "Report," said quietly. Lieutenant was their infiltration specialist. She was small, quick, and could move through any space without making a sound. She had spent 2 nights watching the estate, mapping every guard patrol and sensor location. 312 guards, she said, rotating shifts every 6 hours. The outer sensors use heat detection. The inner sensors use motion and sound. There are 17 blind spots created by the crystal structures. The main power generator is underground, connected to backup systems that activate in 4 seconds if the main power fails. 4 seconds is enough, said. Sergeant was their combat specialist. He was the largest member of the team, with hands that could crush metal and a mind that could calculate enemy positions in complete darkness. Guard quality is low, reported. They stand in the same positions every night. They talk to each other during patrols. They never check the blind spots. They have never faced a real threat. Nodded. This matched what he expected. They had dominated the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to be prey. They had security systems because protocol required them, not because they truly believed anyone would attack. They were about to learn a very hard lesson. We move at midnight, said, takes the outer sensors, handles the first guard post. Everyone else follows the planned routes. No guns unless absolutely necessary. We want this silent. The team nodded. They had trained for this mission for 3 years. Every member knew their role. Every member was ready to die if necessary. But dying was not the plan. The plan was much simpler. Get in, get out, make her pay. Midnight came. The bioluminescent forest dimmed as the planet's 2 moons rose in the sky. The guards on the outer wall yawned and checked their communicators. Nothing ever happened here. Nothing ever would. Moved first. She crossed the open ground in complete darkness, her body low to the earth. The heat sensors were designed to detect the warm bodies of and similar species, but humans had learned to control their body temperature through ancient meditation techniques. Skin was cold as the night air around her. She reached the first sensor node and opened the cover with tools that made no sound. Inside, she found exactly what she expected. Standard technology. Complicated but predictable. She inserted a small device that fed the sensor false information. Now it would show empty ground even if an army marched past. One by one, she disabled the outer sensors. The guards never noticed. Moved next. 2 guards stood at the first checkpoint talking about a sporting event. They never saw him coming. One moment they were laughing. The next moment, hands were around their throats. He squeezed specific points that blocked blood flow to the brain. In 3 seconds, both guards were unconscious. In 10 seconds, they were hidden in the shadows, bound and gagged. The team moved through the estate like ghosts. They had studied the plans for weeks. They knew every corridor, every door, every possible hiding spot. The guards walked past them without seeing anything. Humans had spent millions of years learning to hide from predators. Now they used those skills to become the predators. A's bedroom was on the top floor. The door was locked with a genetic scanner that only responded to her DNA, had prepared for this. She placed a small device on the scanner that mimicked genetic patterns. The door opened without a sound. The bedroom was large and filled with luxury. Soft light came from glowing crystals. Expensive art decorated the walls. And in the center, on a bed made of the finest materials, Commander slept. Captain walked to the side of her bed and looked down at her. This was the creature that had broken a child's face for bumping into her. This was the officer who had called humans animals. This was the monster who had been rewarded for cruelty. He reached down and placed his hand over her mouth. A's 4 eyes flew open. She saw a human face above her. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. She tried to move, but strong hands held her down. Commander said quietly, "You struck a human child 3 weeks ago. She is 7 years old. You broke 3 bones in her face. Do you remember?" A's eyes went wide with terror. She tried to reach for the alarm button beside her bed, but caught her arm and held it still. The Galactic Council said there would be no justice, continued. They were wrong. Justice has come to find you, and it has a very long memory. He pulled out a small injector and pressed it against her neck. The sedative worked instantly. A's body went limp, her 4 eyes closing. "Package secured," said into his communicator. "Begin extraction." The team moved quickly now. They carried her through the estate, past guards who never woke, through sensors that saw nothing. By the time the sun rose, they were already off the mountain, moving through the forest toward their hidden ship. Behind them, the most secure estate on the remained peaceful and quiet. The guards completed their patrols. The sensors showed no threats. Everything was normal. It would be 6 hours before anyone realized that Commander was gone. By then, it would be far too late. The Galactic Council Chamber was the most important room in the known universe. It floated in space at the center of 12 star systems, a massive sphere of gold and crystal that had taken 1,000 years to build. Here, representatives from all 12 ruling species gathered to decide the fate of trillions of lives. High Arbiter sat on the highest platform, looking down at the assembled delegates. He was an ancient species that looked like a tree made of purple stone. He had led the council for 400 years. He believed he had seen everything. Today, the council had gathered for an emergency session. The delegation had demanded it. 3 days ago, Commander had disappeared from her estate without a trace. Her guards remembered nothing. The security recordings showed nothing. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. The believed humans were responsible. They wanted war. "This is an act of aggression," the ambassador screamed. His blue skin had turned dark with anger. "The humans have kidnapped a decorated officer of the military. We demand immediate action. We demand their probationary membership be removed. We demand the right to destroy their pathetic planet." Raised one rocky hand for silence. "These are serious accusations. Do you have proof that humans were involved?" Who else could it be? The humans were angry about that incident on the station. They threatened consequences. They filed a formal complaint through proper channels. That is not a threat. They are animals from a death world. They do not understand proper channels. They understand only violence. The chamber doors exploded inward. The sound was enormous. Smoke and dust filled the air. Council guards drew their weapons and pointed them at the entrance. Delegates screamed and dove for cover. The ancient walls shook from the impact. Through the smoke walked Captain. He was wearing simple black clothes, no armor, no visible weapons. Behind him, his team spread out in a perfect formation. They did not point guns at anyone. They did not make threatening moves. They simply stood there, calm and patient, while the most powerful beings in the galaxy panicked around them. "How did you get in here?" demanded. "This chamber is protected by the strongest shields in existence." "Your shields are designed to stop ships and missiles," replied. His voice was calm, almost polite. "They are not designed to stop 12 humans in a small shuttle flying at speeds that would kill any other species. We came in too fast for your systems to track." He walked forward. Guards tried to stop him. They found themselves on the ground before they understood what had happened, did not even slow down. "I am here to deliver a message," he said, climbing the steps toward the central podium. "On behalf of the human species, on behalf of a little girl named, on behalf of everyone your council has decided does not matter." He reached the podium and placed a sealed container on its surface. The container was about the size of a human head. 3 weeks ago, Commander of the Enforcement Division struck a 7-year-old human child. The child had accidentally bumped into her and apologized. For this crime, Commander broke 3 bones in the child's face. She called the child an animal. Your security officers laughed and walked away. He looked around the chamber at the assembled delegates. Some were still hiding. Others watched with wide eyes. The child's father filed a formal complaint. Your council ignored it. He asked for an investigation. Your council refused. He begged for simple acknowledgement that what happened was wrong. Your council promoted Commander and gave her medals. Open the container. Inside was Commander A's head. Her 4 eyes were still open, frozen in an expression of absolute terror. Blue blood stained the inside of the container. The ambassador made a sound that was not quite a scream. Several delegates vomited, others fainted. High Arbiter simply stared, unable to process what he was seeing. You told us that humans were probationary members, continued. You told us we had no standing to demand justice. You told us to accept what happened and be grateful for our place in your galaxy. He picked up the container and held it high so everyone could see. We are not asking anymore. We are not begging. We are telling you. This is what happens when you hurt a human child. This is what happens when you ignore our pain. This is what happens when you decide that we do not matter. He placed the container back on the podium. Humanity did not crawl out of a death world to bow before species that harm our children. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We hunted predators to extinction. We split atoms and walked on other worlds. We did all of this before we knew you existed. You think you are the rulers of the galaxy. You think you are safe in your paradise worlds. You are wrong. He stepped back from the podium. Let this be your only warning. Touch our children again, and we will not stop at one head. We will come for your worlds. We will come for your leaders. We will teach you what it means to face a species that does not know how to give up. Captain turned and walked toward the exit. His team fell in behind him in perfect formation. Stop them, the ambassador screamed. Kill them all. Nobody moved. The guards looked at each other. They looked at the 12 humans walking calmly toward the door. They looked at the head on the podium. And they decided that dying today was not worth it. And his team walked out of the council chamber without anyone trying to stop them. They reached their shuttle, flew past the defense systems, and jumped to hyperspace before anyone could react. In the chamber, silence stretched for a long, long time. Finally, High Arbiter spoke. His voice was very quiet. I believe we need to reconsider our position on human membership in the Council. Nobody disagreed. 1 year had passed since the day humanity delivered its message to the Galactic Council. 1 year since Commander A's head had been placed on the most important podium in the known universe. 1 year since everything changed. Ambassador stood at the window of the New Earth Embassy on Nexus 7. The same station where Little had been attacked now housed the largest human diplomatic mission in the galaxy. She watched ships coming and going, carrying traders and travelers from 100 different worlds. Many of those ships flew human flags. Her assistant, a young man named, entered with a tablet full of reports. The morning briefings, Ambassador, he said. Took the tablet and began reading. The news was mostly good. Human trade had increased 300% in the past year. Human colonies were being established on 12 new worlds. Human scientists were working alongside alien researchers on projects that would have been impossible before. Any problems? She asked. The delegation has filed another complaint. They want compensation for the property damage to the council chamber. Smiled. Tell them we are still reviewing their request. We have been reviewing it for 8 months. We will continue reviewing it for as long as necessary. They were not the power they had once been. After the incident in the council chamber, they had demanded war. Their fleet had gathered. Their leaders had made angry speeches. They had promised to destroy Earth and every human colony in existence. Then they saw what they would be fighting against. Humanity had been preparing for first contact for decades. They had built ships in secret. They had developed weapons that no other species could imagine. They had trained soldiers to fight in every environment. When the fleet approached Earth, they found a defensive network that stretched across the entire solar system. Orbital guns that could hit targets thousands of kilometers away. Ships designed to operate in conditions that would kill any crew in seconds. The fleet had turned around and gone home. Since then, they had lost 3 seats on the Galactic Council. Other species, tired of their arrogance, had voted to reduce their power. Commander had become a symbol of everything wrong with leadership. Her name was used as an insult. But humans had not become bullies. They had not used their new power to hurt others. Instead, they had proposed new laws, new protections, new ways of ensuring that what happened to would never happen to any child of any species again. The Protection of Sapient Young Act passed final review this morning, said. It is now official galactic law. Any violence against children of any species is a capital offense throughout Council space. Nodded, this was the real victory, not the fear, not the power, the law, a rule that would protect the innocent long after everyone forgot why it was created. And how is, she asked. Smiled. I received an update from her father this morning. She started 2nd grade last week. Her teachers say she is the student in her class. She wants to be a pilot when she grows up. She wants to fly between the stars. Felt warmth spread through her chest. 1 year ago, that little girl had been lying in a hospital bed with a broken face. Now she was dreaming of the future. Now she was healing. Send flowers to her family, said, and a scholarship fund for her education. Make sure she has everything she needs to become the best pilot in the galaxy. Yes, Ambassador. Left to carry out her orders, returned to looking out the window. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer uncertain. They were no longer probationary members. They were no longer animals from a death world. They were a species that other species treated with respect. Some of that respect came from fear. The other species had seen what humans could do when pushed too far. They had learned that human emotions were not weakness but strength. Love made humans build, anger made humans fight, and protective fury made humans unstoppable. But respect also came from what humans had done with their power. They had not started wars. They had not conquered weaker species. They had built alliances, created fair trade agreements, and pushed for laws that protected everyone. They had proven that being dangerous did not mean being evil. Captain had retired from active service. He lived on a quiet colony world now, growing vegetables and training young soldiers who might never need to fight. Sometimes he received letters from children across the galaxy, thanking him for making space safer. He kept every letter in a box beside his bed. His team had scattered across human space. Lieutenant had become an instructor at the military academy. Sergeant ran a security company that protected human colonies. All of them had moved on to peaceful lives. But they stayed in contact. They checked in with each other every week, and they all knew that if humanity ever needed them again, they would answer the call. His new wife was a kind woman who loved like her own daughter. They lived in a house with a garden, on a planet where the sky was always blue, had nightmares sometimes, but they were getting less frequent. She was learning to be happy again. She still had scars on her face. She would have them forever, but she wore them with pride now. They reminded her that she had survived. They reminded her that her family and her species had stood up for her when nobody else would. Turned away from the window and sat down at her desk. There was work to do, treaties to negotiate, alliances to build, a future to create. Humanity had proven itself in fire and blood. Now it was time to prove itself in peace and progress, to show the galaxy that humans were more than warriors. They were builders, dreamers, protectors. And somewhere out there, a little girl named was looking up at the stars, dreaming of the day she would fly among them. The galaxy had learned its lesson. You do not hurt human children. But more importantly, humanity had taught itself something too. They had learned that their greatest strength was not their ability to destroy, but their ability to protect, to love, to never give up on each other. That was what it meant to be human. And the galaxy would never forget it.